What's up, you nerds? This week we got all kinds of fun stuff here from David Benioff. Oh God, I'm gonna ridiculously ruin that dude's name. Exactly. Yeah, they're not doing the Star Wars thing anymore. Nope. It's not happening. But we did have a good conversation. Just a bunch of verbal manure. Also, CG is getting real. It's getting real, y'all. CG is like coming to a point where I can't even decipher what is real and what is not real. Also, yellow spandex for life. The toys the toys that made us. We talked about that coming. We actually got to watch the trailer. Also, Star Trek Picard is bringing back several familiar faces, and I'm actually looking forward to that because I'm kind of a Trekkie. Also, the biggest news of this podcast for me, Rick and Morty exclusively on HBO Max. What? All right.
Berlanti apparently is doing an Arrow show on HBO. Not an Arrow show. He's doing a Green Lantern inspired series.
That's right.
On HBO Max.
And bringing the whole DC anthology.
I don't know what that means.
Ant-Man 3 is on its way. It looks like they got another director or producer or writer. I forget what it was. Also, Edward Norton reflects on the Hawk, or does he?
Or does he not?
We wrapped it up with a little bit of talk.
Terminator and the Eternals, right?
That's right. And Eternals had to evacuate because of a bomb. All coming to you right now on Yellow Spandex.
Woo!
Yeah, so it's the Game of Thrones guys were originally going to do a Star Wars trilogy, which of course would take like years anyway. So
yeah,
but I don't know. I've only watched like one episode of an early season of Game of Thrones. It looked fine. I think most fans, well, actually, judging from the fan base, it was fine. But I am not. It goes kind of like in order of what happens with virtually every fan base. They love it and they say the ending sucks. I don't like.
They kind of had a reason though, because they were trying to get ready for this, and wasn't there another thing they were doing too, to where they were like halfway out the door?
I don't know. Like I'm just like saying like there was that. There was what else was there? Lost. You know, like all these like rabid fan bases are like, oh, this is amazing, this is the best thing ever. Ending suck. Like I feel like every like long running like series that has like the crazy fan base, it always ends with like they're crazy, they have watch parties, like themed bars and stuff, and then they hate the ending.
Like, Lost is weird though too, because that kind of had its ups and downs like halfway through, and it's one of those TV series where they don't like, you know, normal TV series they write them like not that far before they shoot them.
Yeah.
And so they're on a really tight schedule, and so
I also had a weird interaction with Lost because I didn't watch it when it was happening.
Yeah.
But I watched one of the middle episodes of the last season with the girl I was kind of interested in.
I never watched a single thing of Lost.
So I was trying to pretend to know what was going on.
I wanted to watch Lost. I just never got to it.
But I found out, you know, through the internet, like what happened at the end. So I'm just waiting until I forget it and then have, you know, I'm retired and I can watch the whole thing. But the way that I was explained at the ending seemed to make sense. I don't know. But at the same time, I see it because like I loved the show Heroes. Even the bad seasons I think were cool, but that first season ending I thought was like, wow, what a letdown, you know?
Really? I loved that first season ending.
I this in my head, they had built up such an epic ending. And like it was cool, but if they hadn't built it up, it would have been fine. It's just that like they had built up this epic like space battle thing, and it never happened, you know.
Yeah.
And also, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World was a real stretch at the end.
Yeah, that's true. Like I like it was very very poetic for the ending, but at the same time, we were wanting to fight. You know, we were wanting heroes. We were wanting some kind of team or something to come together. And it was just like a bunch of random people with a random man.
Even
like separate stories.
Even that wasn't that bad. It's just the like glimpses that they showed us before, like were such huge scale. You know, they showed like the atomic bomb thing going off, like the empty streets, you know, that were like open and like endless and stuff, and none of that was at the ending, you know. So I get it. But the ending of the series, even though it was kind of like unceremonious, I still thought it was like, well, for a show that's going to being canceled, it made sense. It ended the way it started, with like Claire going up on the bridge and then jumping off and everything, you know.
Sure.
But anyway, so for the Game of Thrones thing, I don't know if they were good writers or not, because I didn't watch the show. But I do think, and this is like no jab at the Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
I think never doing Star Wars again is probably the best choice. You know, or at least trying to find a way to expand the franchise that's not directed towards the fans.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait, so okay, so these two, I'm just trying to get my story straight here, and those for listening to,
yeah,
because I don't even know where it started, like whether we were halfway through when it started.
Well,
or not.
the Game of Thrones guys,
right? David Benioff and Benioff, or I guess, and DB Weiss.
Sure.
All right. And then, so these two wanted to do a trilogy of Star Wars. Like, did they want to just remake
like the next?
Yeah, they were hired.
Did they want to? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't think they were like. I don't think there was like a petition to have them do. I think they were just hired. They were doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it like a continuance of chapters, or did
it's always going to be a continuation?
Well, okay. Yeah, who knows
or like a remake of the original trilogy.
I don't think it's going to be a remake. They didn't have a lot of info. I'd imagine that it'd probably just be a continuation of some kind of story. I don't know if it was Rey or if
they were signed on for 3 movies.
Because it seems like every decade there's like another trilogy kind of happening. You know, but God knows about the Disney thing, because it could be like 3 more years and then we'll start the trilogy again. But
I mean, they're definitely not. They paid so much money into that, and Disney's definitely business people. So they just had that whole theme park they made up.
Yeah,
they're not going to stop making Star Wars movies. But I understand, like, people talked a little bit about like Star Wars fatigue, to where it was like one every year. It gets a little fatiguing, as opposed to like with the Marvel movies, they're like individual characters as well, as opposed to just one giant story. So with these guys, I'm a little worried, because maybe not the same thing. Miller and Lord.
Oh yeah, the like Lego movie.
They got kicked out, or they got fired from doing Solo.
Okay.
And they pretty much, I don't know how much they reshot, but they almost were halfway through that movie when they were filming it. And so when they got Ron Howard on it to do the rest of it, I'm really wonder, like, if maybe some similar situation came along where instead of them getting fired, they were just like, I'm not dealing with this, because I'm sure there's a lot of like moving parts, and a lot of people like with their hands in the in the kitchen. I don't know,
in the pot.
Yeah,
it's interesting because, like, once again, this is people who listen to this podcast know I'm not like the most avid Star Wars fan. I really enjoy them when they come out. I thought Solo was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Solo
I
was great.
Slightly California sober during then. It's more than slightly. I don't remember half the talk with our friend Billy before we go see it, but I remember the movie being a lot of fun. But it seems like the fan base hated it.
No, from a fan base point of view, it is not that. From what people that I know,
they don't
my
hate it.
Star Wars groups, they don't necessarily hate it. They're like, it's an okay movie. Of the other movies, they don't mind it.
Rogue One, I thought, was freaking awesome.
They liked Rogue One generally.
Loved Rogue One. I will say that. Like, of the most recent Star Wars films, like, I really liked Rogue One, like, as a movie.
What was after Rogue One? That was
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, yeah.
That was pretty cool, too.
See, I like Last Jedi, too. I know that's, like, that's a hot take,
Well, you got Star Wars fans, though, they're used to the old canon, so, like...
Right. And then same with the one after that, like, and Luke's death and all that. I was fine with all that.
But see, that's the thing.
That's the Last Jedi, yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the thing that I think is
blue titty milk. Sorry, all right.
That's the thing that I think is like kind of the if I was an exec, I could kind of see the like we can't do anything because what was it? Force Awakens was the first one.
The first one.
So and the criticism from the fans was like this is the exact carbon copy of the original series, and then Last Jedi is like,
but they didn't hate it.
See, that's not the impression I got from online, but I don't know. I thought it was a fine movie too.
From being in Star Wars groups, they didn't necessarily like it. They didn't, and their criticisms wasn't generally that it was a carbon copy. Like I said, the criticism is more that it wasn't a very it was kind of like plain Jane. Like it was a kind of, I guess, more of like a similar to the first movie, but they didn't do anything, obviously with the extended universe or anything like that. So,
but I guess it's still a similar point of view. It's just kind of like, do you take chances or you don't? Because you tried both, and the actual fan base doesn't like it. So I don't know if they're just gonna
got a 93%.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great movie. I mean, I thought both of them
that's
were great
fan
movies,
too, right?
Our audience score was 86.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too far off.
So that that's also like down the road. Because I think like the initial is always like far more extreme one way or the other because somebody has some political agenda behind it, But then as a movie like lives, people are like, oh, this is fine, like whatever. But I wonder if like the suits, the execs are just gonna be like, let's just forget about the fan base and go for the mainstream, you know, because like taking chances and not taking chances don't work. I don't know, you know, like
I feel. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I said this probably last time too as well, but I just like being able to see these stories that I loved when I was a kid continue on in these like movies and everything. Like, so I was never mad with like any of the new stuff if it was or wasn't canon. I understand people get really mad about stuff, but like the books were so like outlandish and crazy and like so like spacey, Odyssey, and then that being turned into a movie, it was just a point of like no return, where now they have to continue doing this over and over again, and with Disney being signed on to like a year each time a movie has to come out, they have no choice but to write whatever.
I feel if they got away from doing like the original Skywalker series, which I think that they're trying to do, it'd be a lot easier for them to take criticism. Because I mean, take a look. I posted something the other day, the Knights of the Old Republic game.
Oh yeah,
there's a cutscene that's just amazing, and like it tells a story, and it's just awesome. And like the whole caption was like, "This is from a game that they put out 7 years ago, and it's way better than anything other thing that we've watched since the originals." And so they can do it, but I feel like if it's not a Skywalker story, there's too many moving parts in that, and you got to please everybody.
That's why I'm so happy about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, that looks really good.
I just saw a screen cap of Ming-Na Wen in that. It looks amazing. Like it looks like Agent May just like ran to
She
Star
does
Wars.
Not age. It is insane.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I feel
it's ridiculous.
Like that's the future of Star Wars, like you're saying, Josh, is for them to come off of the Skywalker story.
And that may be the way that goes forward. It's like, screw these mainline movies for the fans. Like
they killed off everyone anyway.
Like make the let's make this next movie the last one and be like, F everybody, let's just do the series. And then you can spin off all this other stuff.
There can still be Jedi.
They got to do the. Here's the deal: is like if you're gonna go jump back into like what they did with the Force Awakens and Last Jedi and that story, you had to at first deal with the fans because that's the yellow spandex. Like that, those are the people that have been around forever and that know all the geeky little things about everything, and they just didn't do it. Like the first one was like okay, and then the second one was way out of left field. Like, might have been an okay movie for everybody else. But, like, for the fans,
that's kind of what
was way out of left field.
What I was touching on with, like, the books being so, like, there's so much detail in the books.
There's so much.
I didn't read any of the books. Which books have you read, and what are you comparing them to the movie was?
I've read parts of all three of the first movies. My brother had
the original trilogy.
So, what is it, 4, 5, and 6? Yeah.
Okay.
And what you read in those books compared to what you see on screen, there's like no comparison. They got kind of close. But
so to me, this is a little more complicated than like the yellow spandex and this is also from an outsider point of view, because to me, like the X-Men movies, wanting to see yellow spandex, I don't want to see a whole lot more than just like a bunch of flashy stuff and not the gritty version of it.
Yeah.
With Star Wars, it's such an expansive universe, like you said, with a lot of moving parts, and it's like so complicated that I have rewatched all the movies multiple times, and I still don't quite grasp it. And once again, this is from like an outside mainstream point of view. I'm like, oh, this and this and this and this moving part. No, I forgot they're related, and forgot these guys are related.
There's so much stuff.
And so, like, I understand they're being difficult to have, like, the nuance to, like, really hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Not that it's not possible.
But it wasn't even close is the deal. They just decided to, like, they decided to say, all that stuff, we're just going to get rid of all that, every single bit of it. Not even take a little bit of it. We're just going to write our new thing. And so that's where it kind of makes them split. To where, like, you got the diehard fans pretty ticked off. The first movie, they at least were like, all right, fine, I'll take it. And then the second one is way, it's separating everything from what the lore generally is.
So I generally don't love theory video stuff, but I just watched this theory video by a channel I actually kind of like. They were usually right, is what's weird. And once again, coming from an outsider point of view, I'm not even going to talk about it on here because it sounded so on that's just going to spoil the whole last movie.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the crap? That worked. And it actually kind of defeats my point of view from The Last Jedi, but sounds like it fulfills a lot or everything that the original fans wanted to see, but also is going to kind of make the original fans like kind of feel dumb about complaining about it if it's true.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know that JJ coming back probably had a view to her. Basically, with the suits, they're probably like, we need to get back on board. So you gotta please the fans as well.
But see, this theory video predates JJ coming back.
Oh yeah,
because even from the outside, I saw The Last Jedi as like kind of like a curveball, you know, to the series, and I was like, that's interesting because whenever something that drastic happens, like something returns to some sort of normality, you know. So I was like, this is like kind of like that red herring, but also like an interesting conflict, you know. It's too big of a deal not to have Rey be somebody.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I can't say that, like, because Rian Johnson's done, is Johnson? Is that his name? Right? Yeah. So Rian Johnson has done good things. So it's not like somebody could be so inexperienced to, like, make that the culminating moment. It seems like the middle of the story. So if you think of the 3 movies as, like, one big story, like, this is the conflict, and we don't know how it resolves yet, you know? So the thing I watched about that explanation was like, oh god, that's probably it, or some version of that. And I don't think it was meant to be left at she's a nobody completely. She's just something different than, because it would have been kind of cliche to be like, she's clearly a Skywalker, or she's clearly a whatever, you know, somebody important in the thing, like somebody like
that would have sucked.
Well, because, you know, like in the old mysteries, it was like the butler did it, you know, and that was the cool like spin-off or whatever. I think it's going to be that version of this, you know. And
well, out the whole name and alone kind of, it's like, oh, Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so which Skywalker are we talking about? Are we talking about Kylo, because he's possibly, you know, still got the Skywalker blood in him? Are we talking about, you know, is Rey a Skywalker? Is Luke coming back? You know, you just don't know what's going on. It could be a myriad of things.
And I get it being difficult. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was a suit in that situation. Because, like, with the yellow spandex concept with the X-Men movies, I just wanted to look cool. Like, it could have been like Aquaman, where Aquaman, like, looked really flashy. Yeah. I can't say it's a good movie, but it's fun to watch. You know, Venom, same way. It was cool to watch. I can't say it was a good movie. You know,
the only things that I liked from the prequels was the fights. Like, the fights were choreographed, insane, amazing.
Yoda.
Like,
even Yoda
was great,
and all the CG, yeah, it was
even that was fantastic. Okay, you know?
Which is funny because not that this knocks like how exciting those scenes were, but I one of my favorite series right now is Corridor Digital's Stuntmen React and VFX Artists React, and they I don't know who it is. I guess they just don't like, you know, like Asian fight choreographers like are usually like way more articulate, you know, in their choreography. That I guess maybe an American guy did these films. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know who choreographed these, but the stuntmen are pointing out how like undirected all the background fighters are.
Yeah.
And they're like literally just like spinning and like falling over to nothing. But you don't notice until one of the people pointed out. Like they, both in the prequels and like the most recent movies.
The recent one is hilarious because the dudes are fighting nobody.
Yeah, in the background. They're just like swinging lightsabers at nothing. Yeah.
Batman.
Oh yeah. With the car and stuff. And then there's like no one told these stunt guys what to do. And they're like, don't be boring.
There's gonna be CGI something you're fighting. Oh, forgot to put them in.
And that might be a directorial thing where they're like, well, just put that in later.
Because it just never got done.
Because like, wasn't that in Shazam in the mall scene? The director forgot to tell like the crew to get out of the frame, and so there's like production crew in the frame. So in post, they like CG'd shopping bags in all the crew members' hands, so it like looked like they were shoppers. I was like,
funny.
Didn't even notice that. Like,
I didn't notice.
If you go like look at this, you'll see it. Like I think the director actually even like tweeted it out or whatever and stuff. It's hilarious because like when you compare it next to the film you watch, you're like, oh yeah, I just thought those were shoppers. But when they show the unedited one, like there's like a boom holder, like and it's hilarious. Like all the crew's just like on set.
That's pretty insane what they can do with CG nowadays, as opposed to like those original movies with the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
like you know, like the whole Avengers Endgame scene where they're walking and they're like going to go back in time in those suits. Those suits aren't even real.
Yeah,
they never wore those suits,
and they weren't even in mocap suits. They were like in costumes.
Exactly.
Like
we'll just put them on them.
They got
the budget.
The Corridor Digital guys actually said it. Like I think 2019's, or they think the 2019's the year we hit photoreal CG. Like this is like the moment that history will point out. Like this is the year that we couldn't tell. If you did it good enough, you couldn't tell. Every other year, there's like telltale signs.
If it's monsters and stuff, sometimes you can really kind of tell. But that, like since they were like I guess a costume, you know, and your mind's already like not focusing on it. It just gets past you.
But even like dissecting it, they're like you can't tell. Like you're like looking
you can't
at
look
it.
at
Like,
it.
you
Yeah,
can't.
like,
You can't.
I'm sure in 4K or whatever, you're even trying to like pixel peep it or whatever. It's just not even.
And I haven't seen Gemini Man yet, but supposedly that's the same way.
Yeah,
I want to see the 120 frames because they said 120 frames.
They said
4K.
they couldn't show it in America in 120 frames.
Oh,
there
yeah,
was no theaters in America that could show the 120 frames.
Well, there's 3 or 4 theaters because there's one outside of LA that we were going to go to.
Are you sure? Because it was like a big news thing to where like you can't watch it as intended in America.
In most of America, there's a couple theaters out here because I know some friends went to it.
Okay.
They had a big like influencer event, but apparently in that they had to get the CG on and use very little makeup because in 4K 120 frames you can see all of that.
Yeah.
And so it
starts to look like a football game at that point.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing to say, and it's not exactly how I feel like it's not my opinion. I just hear people say it all the time, is that Marvel's like, when you're watching a Marvel movie, there's so much CG and there's things they just like have you conditioned, you know? So like the suit thing, like of course we didn't notice because they have us like conditioned with those movies, you know? We see them in CG all the time, like pretty much the entire movie.
But I think they even show people who don't like religiously watch those films, and then they're like, "What? Those aren't real," you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like the VFX artists reacted to the Far From Home scene where Mysterio takes him in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And they're like, "How much of this CG?" And they were like, everybody took their guess. They're like, probably 75% CG, 50% CG, or whatever. And they're like, "This is 100% animated,
yeah,
pixel by pixel." And then they even showed like a frame that like looks like a person. They're like, "That's still animated. That's like an animated Zendaya." And they're like, "What the hell?" And that's when he said like 2019 is the year.
Yeah.
CG hit the point of potential.
You got the money, man. I'm sure.
Well, it's the talent too, you know, like in the time. Because it's like they said, you know, even though they criticize all these VFX things, there's like somebody worked really hard on this. It's just probably they didn't have time, or the budget wasn't there to pay enough people to work on it for a long enough amount of time.
right.
Did they ever go over a Justice League stuff? Because I felt like that stuff was pretty poorly.
I think at some point, but at the same time, like I think like your kids could tell what was wrong with that. They recently did Supergirl, which I've never seen that show.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. Yeah. Like they even showed like when she was flying, they were like they froze frame it and slowed it down. They're like, she's just on a green screen, and they ran out of like her falling on the crash pad, so they like froze her and then like keyframed her out as a still image, because like her hair stops moving and she's like, doo. And he was like, why didn't they just cut here and then do here?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, the Flash show is pretty hilarious. I mean, like I still love it. That's the only one I watch of those. But it's just funny how often it's like air cannon. It's like the hair is constantly whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Like,
That's pretty good.
But I don't know. Like we'll see. I mean, get the X-Men thing. I am excited to see it at Disney Marvel because I know they're going to get that nuance somehow.
that's something that like they know people have an expectation of. And so that is something they're going to probably try to get right from the get-go, which I'm glad.
I actually saw, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a viral video going around of a fairly unknown model as a Storm for Halloween. I don't know how her acting is, but they got that look like down, which kind of proves like you could have a number of unknowns as runner-ups for Storm or any of the characters, you know, and stuff like, I guess it's just got to look for the acting chops, but it was like,
test it out.
Yeah,
because I mean, that Wolverine, Hugh Jackman was supposed to be some other dude, and I think it was like Gregory something or other, and you know, it was a last minute change, and they tested. You know, Hugh Jackman had never been in a movie before. He'd done Broadway a bunch.
Yeah,
I think he was in the middle of Oklahoma at the time, and yeah.
Let's see, cosplay. I'm gonna look. Oh, there it is.
Okay,
it's I'm gonna butcher this name, so this is not an appropriation thing. Anak Yai. But like,
send me the link and I'll put it up on the.
Like she.
Oh yeah, she looks like close.
And that's not even like they show. There's another post that showed like her like makeup. And but the thing
shiny there.
The thing is this like look that's on these photos is not any like Storm look that I can pinpoint to any one thing, you know.
Yeah.
But they got the essence, you know. Like I think like because she's super dark skinned, which is one of the reasons I was like, why Halle Berry? I mean, like Holly's a beautiful woman, but she's like this kind of dumpy, like little, not dumpy, famous. But like she was famous, but like so was like Angela Bassett, you know, like it's stuff like
you might have turned it down. You
I know, like, but I mean, like, or any number of whatever, you know, and stuff. But like this one, like the whole vibe like is caught here, you know, like
oh yeah,
and they have so many choices, like to go from. But yeah, I'll send you this thing.
Yeah, send me that. I'll put that in the.
It reminds me of '60s Storm.
I don't think there's a '60s Storm. I think '75 is the year that they had.
Oh look, that's her, isn't it?
Let me see. Oh. Yeah, I mean that looks. That looks like
not her, but
the original. Yeah, giant size X-Men. When did that come out? Hold on, I gotta look that up. Nerds probably know. Let's see here.
Help us out, nerds.
Exactly. Giant size X-Men #1. It was in.
But yeah, it's for the
1975. Boom.
Oh yeah, so it does. See, it's influenced by that, and that's the thing.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's the same one that was
Storm.
That's the same one that was in the arcade game.
Similar, yeah.
Similar, but like the one in the model took, it wasn't any exact one, you know. Like, so if like let's say like assuming she's a good, she was a good actress or whatever. If she showed up in like the next X-Men movie, I'd be like, yes, even though it's not like an exact carbon copy of like one of the comic versions.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is 2019 or 2020 Storm, 2021 Storm, whenever they do the movie, you know, like
yeah, she looks great.
That's the thing. But I am glad that like the X-Men are going to have that nuance. But like I would have been content at least with like just not totally messing it up, you know, like because that's the thing with the
whole franchise was. I mean, with the exception of Xavier and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, even then, that whole series is so messed up.
Yeah. That's the thing. We always say like the casting was like half, like immediately right on, but like the looks weren't right. There was, and then the later ones that were even better, like the whole First Class era and everything, were great, but like weirdly like had a lot of yikes moments in it. You know, like I know that people accuse like the new generations of being like overly sensitive, but I think there was a lot of moments they just could have like avoided. You know, like was it Darwin?
Yeah,
who's literally supposed to be like invincible, he adapts to everything.
Supposed to adapt to everything. Dies.
Is like the first one that dies, and like is also like the black guy in the cast, stuff. Or like somebody, no one like would have called it. Even if they did that, they just like did something else first. Or whatever, like it's just like.
Wouldn't it be weird if it was just their job to like crap all over what they were making? Like they were like, we're gonna make this so not canon. Like we'll even try to like opposite things.
It's like a lot.
To piss people
it's like
off.
A bunch of suit. It's like the He-Man toy makers. They're like, we're just getting high and see how much we can mess this up.
What was the one? Is it some of their names?
Yeah, right.
The characters are so
from
funny.
He-Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, was Stinkor was
Needle
the best.
Man.
Or
who was like
who was the main evil gal? Oh God, what's her name? It was like so on the nose. The main one that was like Skeletor's like
She-Ra.
No, Skeletor's like
I don't even remember.
Evil Lynn. That's what.
Oh yeah. Evelyn or Evil Lynn.
Yeah.
I just remember the crazy ones. Stinkor, they just like repurposed. I don't think they ever had him in any cartoon until like like the third iteration or whatever cartoons. And the original, they had made this guy called Stinkor, and it was just like a repurposed other villain that they made. Only just made him black and white, made him a skunk. And he smells really bad. Like they made the plastic smell bad.
Yeah.
And to this day,
That's
like
funny.
those things still reek.
That's hilarious. Speaking of those toys, I don't know if this is a good segue. We just watched the trailer for Toys That Made Us Season 3 that released like a few minutes ago. As of when we're recording this, I'm so excited. I like that. I love that. Have you watched the show?
I've never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Every time you tell me, and I'm like,
have to watch the show.
Is this a Netflix thing?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Like even things I don't care about, like Hello Kitty and Barbie and stuff. Like I still like. There's some corner of my nostalgia that remembers the culture of that.
Yeah.
But like I realize how much I love GI Joes and everything. So that this time around they're doing Ninja Turtles. Which is super interesting.
Why they didn't do that in the first place?
I bet there was some sort of red tape because is that Bandai? I don't know. Like, but there was that. There was they showed Power Rangers. They showed My Little Pony. What else did they show in that one? Because the funny thing is, even My Little Pony, like I never had any of them, but I remember being in like babysitting, like not babysitting, but like I was being babysat.
Yeah,
and
they had a TV show.
in those groups.
You ran into it.
Well, I remember the toys laying around because like they were in like not nurseries, but like in like babysitting groups and at school and stuff. And I remember them having like the symbols. So whenever they mention that stuff, like man, just bringing in the peripherals of my childhood.
Yeah,
I don't know. They do a really good job, like with that, like just create like making it feel like you're stepping into your nostalgia for like the hour or whatever long length the show is. I was wondering, there was rumors that they were going to do Power Rangers, and I even like tagged, we did a collab with Ron Wasserman, who wrote the Power Rangers theme song. I was like, is Ron Wasserman going to be part of this? He hasn't said anything to us. I've talked to him a little while, but then again, I don't know if he'd be able to say if he was.
Yeah, that's true.
Was involved.
NDA,
Side note, I found 2 of my favorite characters' names for He-Man was Man E Faces.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember the toy too.
And then Mech Neck, and he was like mechanic. Like some of these were so bad.
Cocaine. Like, what can we do?
I mean, and then they just looked at the characters that were made, and they were like, "Oh, he'll be called Too Bad," and this one will be called Clawful.
I remember Clawful,
and then Buzz Off, Fisto.
I was actually not allowed to watch He-Man for the longest time because it was evil.
Yeah. It was made from the devil, right?
Exactly. Mom's like, oh, those witchcraft and garbage. I don't think there's actually any witchcraft in it.
Oh, the WWF was the other toy.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm super excited about, too.
Gosh.
Holy moly.
Dude, that was huge. I mean, I guess it's still big today, but like...
It is and isn't. We were talking to our friend Atomic Mari because she's getting into wrestling stuff. Like... I hate to sound like this old fogey because I wasn't even really that into wrestling.
Me neither.
But she was like, man, there's no characters anymore. It's like John Cena, it's like his name, his stuff, and he's a character. But we used to have like The Undertaker and Rowdy Rod Piper
and Mankind.
Yeah,
The Undertaker.
Who else was it? There was even like the managers were like characters and stuff. There was a cartoon show and stuff. Like they're not as over the top as
arcade games.
Yeah.
I played that when we were at the where's that arcade in Chicago? The Galloping Ghost Arcade.
Nice.
That's an amazing arcade. If you're in Chicago, check it out. It's huge.
I remember knowing about the WWF stuff, or whatever that's what it was called then, because the characters seemed like real life cartoon / video game characters.
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior and Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Like our friend Marvelous She said, like her like puberty like awakening happened with the Undertaker.
Oh really?
And then she was like, that should have been the beginning. I knew something was wrong. But like, but she loves all this like dark stuff and everything,
Well, you got Jesse Ventura and now he got into movies, and then he was governor of Minnesota or something.
Totally forgot about that.
And then I think Kane, like the guy that played Kane, he's the mayor of some city now.
Wow.
It's just funny.
Wow, that's crazy.
I guess that's the thing. Pro wrestling, you know how to deal with politics. But I don't know. Super. Yeah, you gotta go watch this series. They're so good. Like, and I just found out there's like a series called Movies That Made Us. I'm like, what? The same guys did that?
No.
It's just the format of it. Like, it's hard to explain.
Speaking of series, I guess Picard is a thing. It's out. I've never seen it.
I knew it was coming out because we talked about it on here, but I didn't know that it was actually out yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. To be honest, I'll probably not because it's probably on some like exclusive platform or something.
It probably is.
CBS or something.
But it's saying here that it's bringing back all the several familiar faces.
Yeah.
Like
including Will Riker. I remember Will.
Oh, wow. Worf, I'm sure.
And wife Deanna, along with 7 of 9 from Voyager.
I wonder if Will Wheaton will show up ever.
Looks like Star Trek Nemesis from the 2002s. Looks like they're gonna.
Oh, so this is just gonna be like a big family reunion,
basically.
Wow.
And, I mean, everybody loved the Star Trek Next Generation. I don't.
Yeah.
I know that Trekkies still love the other ones following, but I just never got into them.
So this caught my eye because Data is on the front of the thing. It's a picture of Data, and in Nemesis, Data ends up sacrificing himself in the movie in order to save Picard.
Spoilers.
So yeah, right, from 2002. So they're saying if it's the last time you were going to see him, you may be surprised.
It's interesting. No,
See how they bring him back.
I remember having the Data toys when I was a kid because I thought he was such an interesting character
with the little visor.
Yeah, I loved his character. I even loved Geordi. Mr. Eating Rainbow.
Visor.
You know what's funny? As a kid, the number one question I had with Star Trek was how Geordi saw. I don't know why that stuck with me as a kid. I couldn't just accept, like, I could accept a Klingon, but I couldn't accept that someone could see through that visor thing.
He would take it off and it'd be really cool. You could it's like almost computer like glitchy.
Oh yeah. And then his eyes were like whited out.
And then like they think he had like little red dots on the side of his head.
I think the time that actually got satisfied, that curiosity got satisfied, is I think LeVar Burton actually addressed it on Reading Rainbow.
I remember that.
Because he did an episode where he showed the behind the scenes. So yeah, that was a bittersweet moment because it both ruined the magic of Star Trek to me because they showed people pulling strings for the doors.
Yeah.
But then he was like, oh, if you look through these, it's kind of like mirrored. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you can see through it. He's like, it's still very hard. Like,
I'm sure because it was very thin too, so it'd be hard to like focus. I'm sure.
And then he was like, here's how we teleport. And they literally showed someone in the VFX department take like a tall pint glass and fill it with water, dish soap, and glitter, and stir it with a glass stirrer and videotape it, and then overlay it on the teleportation. Like
that's hilarious.
That just ruined it for me as a child. I was like, it was so magical until that point.
Don't show my dad that. It would totally ruin it for him. Speaking of, wow, I keep having these transitions. Speaking of ruining things, Arrow producer brings Green Lantern inspired series and DC anthology to HBO Max.
What does
Green Lantern inspired mean?
Yeah.
Well, first off, Green Lantern is this like enormous thing in itself.
The Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, so I have no idea what that
Yeah, I don't know what Green Lantern inspired is like, do they just generally talk about it?
You either have the Green Lantern in it because you're not just when you say Green Lantern, it's not just one person.
Yeah,
it's like 100 of them. Yeah, 100 millions. But HBO Max, what is that? Is that like...
So it's their streaming service, which actually brings up another good point. There was just an announcement that Rick and Morty is going to be exclusively streamed on HBO Max.
Oh, come on.
So they're taking it off of there. So they're swinging big because it's happening the same time as Disney+. So it's...
They're just like swinging them around, huh?
It's interesting because like everybody thought like, one service was going to be a competitor to the other. And they're like, you know what? Like... Now Netflix has got to watch out for Disney Plus and HBO Max. Those are the two they're going to
watch. HBO Max is not going to overtake Netflix, let alone Disney.
There's going to be some kerfuffle though.
It's starting to because between Rick and Morty and like Westworld and all that stuff, like we never considered getting it until like enough shows like start piling on. We're like,
well, that was the biggest news for me in this podcast.
Rick and Morty?
Is Rick and Morty's exclusively on HBO.
Yeah.
Now I need to wear different pants.
Well, I'd actually put down a bunch of stuff that was going to be on Apple TV because apparently they're doing stuff like their own stuff too. And it's like the only thing that I'm interested in of all of these, that Dickinson show looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm interested in is Ghost Rider.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer. Did you see the trailer for it? It's interesting, I guess. I don't know. You know the thing about Apple TV Plus, there's a lot of things there, is that I read an article that pointed out something. It's like it's basically free. Because it's either $5 a month, and you also have like an introduction period of like a month or something. But also you get it for free for a year if you buy any mainline Apple product.
Okay.
So like I guess like if you get a laptop, you get an Apple Watch or whatever, like you just get a year for free. And I think they're just going to try to get people comfortable with it until like you just can't give it up.
Well, it's the same thing with like Apple Music, where it's just part of your ecosystem. If you are in any way, shape, or form an Apple person, you just get absorbed into the rest of it.
So that was somebody asked me, they were like, "Ooh, why are you into Apple Music?" And I was like, "Well, as a musician, Spotify's the devil." But like I'm still use it, still gonna embrace it because we can't fight the business. But like with Apple Music, I personally use it as my main thing because the way it had progressed is like I had iTunes, this is where I listen to my music. Then when I found out iTunes Match happened, were you familiar with iTunes Match? It basically made a cloud service of your own library. Yeah. And I was like, $25 a year? Yeah.
I wish we could do that for our movies.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I could just be like, hold on, I'll put my DVD in.
Oh, that, yeah.
Kind of, and it'll just be bring.
So Apple Match happened, or iTunes Match happened, and then when they introduced Apple Music, that was like a sister product to it. It all combined, and I was like, well, that's just going to be it. You know?
I love Apple Music. As an Apple user, it's the easiest thing to find music, to add music. Like, I don't have to worry about it.
I've never used it. From whatever everybody that I've heard of, it seems that it's not as nice of a experience as Spotify is. As much as Spotify is the devil. Spotify has a better way that you can either browse or whatever. I don't know.
I haven't spent enough time on like as a consumer on Spotify to understand and know.
Spotify's a lot easier to find user-generated playlists.
Yeah,
that's definitely easier. So maybe that's what a lot of people like about it is like not having to make your own playlist. I like making my own playlists like a lot. So maybe that's why I prefer Apple Music. I don't know, but I've used both extensively. I don't think one's easier than the other. I think it's like an argument between Pro Tools and Logic or something. You know, it's like what are you specifically accustomed to? You know,
it's so crazy, that we have all these things now because you had just said Apple Plus.
Yeah.
And then Disney Plus, and then HBO Max.
It's funny. There's a meme going around with a breakdown of all the streaming services, and if you got all of them, it'd be like a little under like $95 a year, a month or whatever. And it's like, it was a cable package.
Seriously.
You know, but the nice thing, though, about it is that you don't necessarily need all of those things. You know, like I don't need CBS Go. You know?
Yeah.
I only need HBO to see shows and then don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait for that free trial period.
It is funny though, because
and binge all the shows.
There's a like a comic strip, the meme that was like, it showed the guy like with a pirate hat on, and he's like, he looks at his computer and it's like Netflix and Hulu, and he was like, oh, and then he like puts his hat away in the cupboard. He's like, it was a good time, old friend. And then he like looks back at his computer in 2019 and it has like 12 streaming services, and he's like, it's time to reunite. Yeah.
It's so weird.
It makes sense for that. I'm sure that piracy is going to go up from that.
So this article makes me think that, I mean, this is like strictly a like Arrow's producer brought all of the Green Lantern stuff over to HBO Max. I wonder if like Marvel's with Disney, maybe DC will strike a deal with HBO. It looks like they already did, but
is Warner Brothers and HBO a thing?
I don't know. It seems like that'd be a competing thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Where does each other. You know, where does HBO sit in the grander tree of networks?
It makes me think like, because Disney Plus is obviously going to be a monster, but who competes with them? You know, everybody else, right?
Disney, like 25% of the kids, like Disney owns like everybody except for like 2 major studios.
I don't know.
Something like that, like Universal and maybe Sony. They don't own.
Yeah, they definitely don't own Sony.
So like I don't know. It's interesting because like someone pointed out they have a major blockbuster film releasing at least one every week of the year.
That's crazy.
Like whether it's a children's movie, one of their offshoots. Now with Fox, it's like 2 a week.
Talk about like
a year,
making a ton of content, having it like stashed away for like they've had to have been stocking this stuff up in order to.
Well, Disney alone has their own catalog, and then on top of it, now that they absorbed Fox, they have all that catalog.
So they're just running old stuff.
No, not old stuff. It's just that they own so many properties because Marvel's part of Disney, so that's included. Then Star Wars is Disney's, that's included. Any of the children's
anything
stuff.
Fox is included now. Those movies.
So it's just because of how many like studios they own, they have something coming out every week.
I wonder what who's going to be the competition of Disney Plus in the future.
Well, I mean, Netflix, obviously, but
you think Netflix will still stick around?
I think Netflix has a bigger share in that right now. Who knows what's going to happen later? But they also have. It's more than just their Netflix ecosystem.
I wonder if Netflix is operating like publicly right now in like a like portraying as a healthy company, or if they're like,
do they have an IPO?
Or are they suffering? You know,
I do know that this year's the first year they reported a loss.
That's true. Yeah,
a loss. Not a lot. They're always at a loss. I don't think they've made profit yet.
Streaming in general.
They've lost. This is the first year they've lost subscribership. They've been negative for that. And I can't say that I'm surprised because even like I was talking with Vince, I'm like, November we might not renew because we got Disney Plus coming.
It's going to be so much stuff.
You only got so much money to go around,
But also like I'm like thinking like, what was I going to watch on Netflix?
Yeah,
all our Marvel shows are going to be gone.
I've pretty much watched every single anime they have.
But like
I'm single.
But like if Rick and Morty's not going to be on Netflix. What am I going to watch? If all the Marvel movies are going to be moved off of Netflix,
it makes me so mad.
If all the Disney movies are going to be moved off Netflix, and then Disney Plus is going to be a couple bucks cheaper than Netflix was,
I can watch Tailspin.
So it's like I don't know. I mean, it's worth like giving up for a month and seeing if I even ever miss it.
Yeah, I feel like unless I don't know, I feel like I'd probably be jumping back and forth. Like I'm probably not going to be like purchasing all these things at the same time. I'm going to be like, oh, hey, and there's 3 or 4 shows that I haven't caught up on, and I'll jump to Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, there's a bunch of stuff. Oh, they just released all the Mandalorian stuff or whatever new Disney show. Oh, sweet. And I'll jump to Disney Plus for that. Like, I am not willing to pay. The only reason I'm paying for Hulu right now, because I absolutely hate Hulu, is because you get Spotify for free with it. So
interesting.
So I might still have Hulu, though, because there's a package with Disney Plus for like a couple dollars more.
So Hulu found a way to stick around too, then.
Well, it's owned by Disney.
Yeah, it's owned by Disney.
So Hulu's not even really a competitor. It's just like a version. And who knows?
Probably will get absorbed.
Yeah, in the future, it just might become like, there's no more Hulu.
It'll be like
interesting. The plot thickens or gets thinner.
But I don't know, like, well, one of the telltale signs for me was that Netflix released a press release or something that said they're actually going to crack down on password sharing.
Yeah.
It's like, you can tell because before the CEO or whatever was like, we're aware that people share and we encourage it. Or not encourage it, like we don't have a problem with it because people just like it, and stuff.
When they were the only game in town.
Yeah, and now they're like, we're so, like, we need to, with the shrinking fan base, and they're like, you can't share anymore.
Yeah.
I'd get Hulu every once in a while to catch up on like probably like a Shield or something to where they had like a large amount of the shows when they came out. And it's funny because then I would also leave Hulu probably a couple times a year. And at the very end, it was hilarious because they play like a funny video like, please don't go, oh no, and there's like a bunch of clips from different things like, no, please don't. And it's like, come on, let me skip at this dang video. What is wrong with you people? Like, this isn't making me want to stay.
You know what I usually do is I end up just like pausing my account and then changing the credit card.
Oh yeah,
and then it just automatically cancels for me.
Yeah,
because actually
I lose my credit card too often in the first place, so I don't.
So that's what I did with my original account, because last Black Friday Hulu did like a 99-cent a month deal. So I was like, well, goodbye my old account. Yep. Which actually is getting ready to go up, so I might be reevaluating Hulu now too. Because literally, like, if Disney Plus has like all the shows I used to love watching that I know I loved, and these other 2 networks are like, it's questionable what's going to come out with them, I might just not bother with it unless something amazing comes out.
I say they're going to be fighting back and forth, and so they're going to be like, really good stuff over here, and then I'm going to go over there to watch that, and then they're going to be like, no, look at this over here, and I'm going to be like, oh sweet, I'll go back over and watch that stuff. So I don't have enough time to watch all the shows on everything. So why would I pay for everything?
And then the other thing is with Disney Plus, for like $6 a month or whatever, you can have something ridiculous like 12 people under the account or something.
Oh, is that? Yeah,
it's part of like a family account, but they said you can attach anybody with. So it's like all of us could share an account, and then plus like another 9 of our followers or something. It's ridiculous.
It does get annoying because like we'll be watching something on TV on Netflix on our TV, and obviously our daughter Naomi or Ari will be like, I don't want to watch this, so they'll go get their laptops, and then Penny is like, this is scary or something, and so like, well, here's the phone. Like, how many things do we got on this account?
Right. You need to like have enough bandwidth.
Well, not even that. They only allow so many things to be on at the same time.
Because
at one point in time, I don't know if it was 3. I think it might be 3. You could use 3 things at once on like a regular account. Because I think as soon as the fourth person hit it, like it's like, hey, you can't do this. You got to turn one of the other ones off.
That's right.
I have the cheapest account, which is 1 screen.
Me too. I don't think you get more than 1 screen.
No, it's 1.
No, it's 1 screen.
Really?
Because I had it open on my phone, and we went to go watch something, and it wouldn't work, and I was like, "Oh, wait!" And
but also on my account, it says 1 screen.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
It's a special. It's a.
Because I thought it had like the cheapest account.
The cheapest account's like $7 or something like that. It's for 1 screen.
Oh, weird. They must have changed that up.
And I switched to it whenever they announced it.
Because they bumped up the price. They kept bumping up the price. It went, obviously it was like 7 originally, and then like it went up to like 10 or 12.
But if you stayed to the cheap one, then you don't have like you can't get over. Like, you can't get the 4K or something like that.
No,
whatever. Which is fine because our TV doesn't show 4K.
Yeah, mine goes up to 720, I think.
So it was like, okay, this is what it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. This computer has a nicer screen than any of TVs in our place. I
think it probably goes to 1080 or whatever on our TV, but like the little Chromecast that we use, I think only does 720.
Yeah. So
doesn't bother me.
I'm still banking on. I said this a few podcasts ago. I think Disney Plus is going to like knock it out of the ballpark. Even they're both the new original stuff and then the old catalog stuff. Because like you have the Disney Afternoon and the Simpsons.
Yeah, the Simpsons alone.
Those two, the Simpsons alone, but those two Disney things stuff, alone, on top of the other hundreds of things they just announced, and the Mandalorian and all the new Marvel stuff. How is that not going to be a hit? You know, because you already have like 3/4 of the catalog of stuff that people love already.
Yeah,
I wonder if they'll start like because like they used to crack down really hard on Simpsons clips on like YouTube or Facebook or whatever it was. I wonder if they're going to lighten up on that since Disney owns it now.
Well, there was that commercial for Disney Plus.
Yeah, the silly,
where he pulled his pants down.
Yeah.
And they showed it. Well, then you saw the little Disney thing fly over to his butt. It was hilarious.
Like, I don't understand them cracking down on like clips, like, because you'll be like, oh, is that one funny saying that Homer did on on one episode or whatever, and you try to search for it. Nobody ever has it on YouTube anymore. They block it all, and it's like, why would you block that? Like, that garners more like, oh, I love The Simpsons. Oh, let me watch another. Oh, where can I get a full season? Oh, hold on, over here.
It's the same thing with
music.
What's the company? I can't remember the company that does Dragon Ball.
Oh,
Toei. Or like you can tell they just don't get it. Yeah. Like, they'll take down if we show a picture of Goku right now on this podcast, they'll take the whole thing down.
Wow.
Like, they don't want any reference to it. Like, our friends did a whole fan film of original stuff. They're not any original photos or pictures, but they portray characters from Dragon Ball, and Toei like just knocked it out. Now they won, like, our friends won the case, but the video had to been deleted and then re-uploaded later and stuff, but like, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I think even whoever owns the Ninja Turtles, is that under what network is that?
It's Nickelodeon that owns it.
Okay, whoever's DC. They're not as
they're
not as militant about it, but they still. There was a video where we talked about like Vince's nephew getting like Ninja Turtle stuff for his birthday, and we showed like shirts and stuff. They claimed our video. They didn't take it down, but they claim all the monetization on that video because we talked about it.
Talked about what?
The Ninja Turtles.
What?
And then there was another video,
and we showed apparel.
There was another video.
Fix your mic again. Damn it! Vince's mic keeps going crazy.
Mostly because he punches it.
Yeah, it's true. You good, Vince?
I think so.
No, nope. You're not.
No, it's still crackly.
No, it's just it sounds like you're in a telephone.
Chicka.
There you go. Don't punch it again.
I keep trying to slide this thing up, and I accidentally.
There was another video. It was either a video or maybe one of my Facebook posts. Outside my old apartment in Delaware, they were doing a lot of road work because there was like a gas leak or something, and so there was this hole in front of like my house for like a week, and like they were digging with a giant crane and everything. So every day I would like joke about something coming out of the sewer, like Pennywise or whatever. And this one time I like photoshopped like the Ninja Turtles like escaping out the sewer and stuff, and they claimed like one of my posts. It's like, sure.
Who's whatever. They? I want to know who this is.
Whoever's like,
because Nickelodeon owns the, I guess, the cartoons. I don't know.
Whoever. I could probably like look it up.
I don't know who would own the comics or just the likeness or whatever.
Yeah, or whoever. It might even be like another company that's like claiming stuff.
Maybe, just on behalf of it. They're just sloppy and stupid. Yeah, I don't understand why people don't get that. Like,
well, so those aren't even automated. Those were manual.
Really?
It was a manual claim because it also happened like after the post. It wasn't like we posted it and then it happened. It was like months later. It like got manually claimed.
I just don't understand that. Like, people are okay. Like, maybe like on YouTube say, okay, a clip longer than 30 seconds, we're gonna boot that. So like you can see like a little clip of like a show, like, oh, I love this show or whatever, and then that like bolsters people to like, oh, I really like that show, I'll go watch it, as opposed to it's not like they're gonna piece together 30-second clips and be like, I'm really gonna enjoy watching all these 30-second clips of this half-hour show. You know? 60 a playlist of 60 clips.
Although as ridiculous as that is, there's some shows on there like that.
Oh, I'm sure. You gotta wait every 30 seconds. You gotta wait 10 seconds for it to load the next clip.
I mean, I can't even sit through ads on Hulu, let alone trying to make that thing work.
Yeah, that always pissed me off about Hulu too. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm paying like $10 a month for this, and I gotta watch ads. Like,
I actually get to skip some of them depending on like how I scrub across. You can sometimes skip ads.
Yeah, I even purchased for like one time, because we would catch up on S.H.I.E.L.D. with it. I purchased like the ad free version of Hulu, because there's like, what, 4 versions or some stupidity. And it was like, all right, let's put on S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like, this show is not able to go without an ad, but we will show one before and after the entire episode. And like, what? So, I paid for it to not have ads. Like, so they just show one before and then one at the very end, which you could kind of skip by just turning it off.
It's like, how much is it? It's like a punch in the face.
Well, by the way, the punch in the face doesn't include...
another punch in the face. Directly followed.
Kick to the nuts afterwards.
I'm like seeing if I can find where the claim for the Ninja Turtles thing came from.
Man.
You're trying to track it down?
Well, because we have a notice from what company it's from, because if it goes through a second appeal, then we can like take it to court.
Yeah.
We're not doing that because it's stupid, because the video is so old. Yeah. It doesn't do anything anymore anyway.
They wouldn't take it to court though. Like for everything that I've seen,
most people don't.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
But we can.
You
can,
and
we won't either. But no, both parties can is the thing. But that's why we have the information.
But it's just not. They're not going to come do that. They're just not going to. They just like to threaten people.
But like it's weird because like, you know, we have friends for music stuff. They're like, why do they claim that? It's like, so it sucks is technically they can.
Yeah.
It's just that like you can tell that the people that do just don't understand how things work. But then again, it's on the other side too, because like we'll have a friend do like a complete cover of like some popular song. Like, why are they claiming my stuff? I did it. I'm like, okay, well, that's the publishing side.
Exactly.
So they're splitting it with you. Because the icon is like half green and half shaded out, so that you're splitting revenue.
So like, they get some money still, even though.
So they're like, but I did it all. I'm like, but you didn't write the song. And it's like, so there's like a misunderstanding on both sides, depending on the version, you know?
The general public does not understand copyright, which it is kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Well, because, you know, I did a whole keynote at Podfest Expo last year about this, but it was like, the thing is, the law is the law. The law is not emotional, but your take on the law is emotional, and that doesn't work.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's not how that works, or it doesn't work very well.
Any of this works.
It's not how any of this works.
What was it? Phil DeFranco's merch is like, why use facts when you can use your feelings?
Exactly.
Speaking of stuff that doesn't work, Charlie Cox and Tom Hiddleston swapped Marvel characters for Halloween. Even though that's a hilarious thing that they did this.
Those costumes don't work.
No, not at all. Like, actually, Tom Hiddleston, because of the mask, like, we'll have to show a photo of this, can kind of pull it off. But, dude, Charlie Cox
like Loki and Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Charlie
they're
Cox
like really
and
not
Loki's
very good costumes.
looks... It just,
I mean, they could have totally hired somebody to do the costumes for them. I mean, there's people that get hired like, was it $400, $500 to do like a really nice costume, which, by the way, we got done with all of our costumes right as Halloween hit. Oh my gosh, how stupid expensive that was. And I mean, we've done this every year, by the way, which is just we keep stupidly doing.
We do the same thing with our Christmas records. We're like, we'll have it done in July, like November, like crap.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, crap.
By the way.
So, Josh, you were Thor, right?
I was what they would call Bro Thor, but I just call him Fat Thor because it's me.
We actually dressed up. The YouTube space LA out here had a Halloween party, and I dressed up as a beer,
a giant beer,
and Rod was a burger.
Then you guys, I thought it was a pizza slice. You guys said you had like pizza slice costumes.
I wanted to do a pizza slice, but I put the costume on. We're like, this looks awful.
It did.
If some reason it's weird because the burger costume isn't necessarily high quality, but somehow the pizza was like even lower. Like the back looked like a backless dress.
Yeah, it was weird.
That was like skin colored,
made of paper.
And I was like, what? No, it was just like a weird, like it had ties on it and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, why isn't there just like another slice of pizza on the back?
It's like a polyester.
Gotta save money with that polyester. Like a print.
Yeah, it was weird. It should have just been, the same thing on the back.
Yeah.
And that would have been perfect.
Ari was really good as
Marvel?
Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
That one was really good. Penny was this little thing called True from Netflix.
Yeah, she looked
like,
awesome.
I want True. Mom's like, how about we do Harley Quinn? I want True.
She looked like Rainbow Bright from back in the day.
It does a little bit look like Rainbow Bright. But, yeah, it's fun.
I'm learning that the copyright claims aren't listed in chronological order of the video posting. They're listing in order that they were claimed, which is really interesting. So these video orders are like way out of whack.
Meh. That's all right. We'll figure it out one day.
Well, here's another cool thing real quick.
Yeah, we got a couple little things we can hit before we leave.
Ant-Man 3 for Marvel Studios. That's going to be huge.
They finally said, because that wasn't originally on the slate.
Right.
And people were worried, like, oh, that's not going to be... I don't know. They had people have rumored that Cassie's going to be involved in it too. She's going to be...
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing what this article is pointing at. Really, it's just about the return of Ant-Man 3 because we weren't sure because it was and then it wasn't and then now it is again.
I love that T.I. is going to be in it again.
Oh yeah, and Michael Pena.
Yeah, Pena and David Dastmalchian. I can't remember his name. He's in a bunch of stuff though. He's hilarious.
He's always like the other guy.
Yeah. He was in a Flash and Supergirl crossover where he was like, I can't remember the name of the bad guy, but he like he's not necessarily a bad guy to where he like kind of makes people realize things about themselves, but he made them like, it was like a whole musical. So he like made them both sing and dance before they could get out of the, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I cannot remember
and
that guy's name.
Sounds painful.
Yeah. I'm not very good with DC villains.
Ooh. You know, I think I might have found it. I think we won our appeal.
Oh, look at that.
It is not claimed anymore.
Sweet.
Congratulations. You can post that one picture of the Ninja Turtles now.
Yeah.
Edward Norton was on Joe Rogan the other day.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like,
right.
like
he has that new movie coming out.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not always a fan of his anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't watched anything of his in a while, so
I've been meaning to listen to that one because ever since the Dan Aykroyd thing with Joe Rogan, I listened to that. It's like 2 hours long. I listened to the whole freaking thing. It turned me on to Joe Rogan's podcast, so I've been trying to listen to some other ones.
He is like the godfather of podcasts. Yeah. Like almost everybody that does a podcast is like, how does Joe Rogan do it?
Yeah, I watched Bill Burr. I watched...
He's generally funny because those guys knew each other from way back when.
They're comedians from back in the day.
They had one Artie Lang the other day, which is insane because now he's clean. That dude's been on cocaine since he was like 11.
You know what's weird? Today I learned Artie Lang's still alive.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. I thought he died a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your biggest news of the podcast? You have yours, I have mine.
Today I learned Artie Lang was alive.
Edward Norton reflects. Yeah.
I thought he was going to say something cool about the Hulk, or at least like they were a little bit of tidbit of information or whatever. No, not really.
At least he got to be in the cool one out of the two, like standalone.
Well, I know
I liked the first one a little bit, but the second one I liked a lot.
Movies,
yeah. I just hated the Abomination or whatever it was.
I know right now,
no, it was the Bad Hawk.
I know right now he's doing the press tour because he has this movie that I guess was his passion project. Yeah. So if it flops, then he loses like a forttion.
Oh dang!
Yikes.
Or whatever. But I think that's how it's being billed. Who knows if it's like real or if it's part of like the marketing agenda, and stuff. But it looks interesting. It's funny though because this is from the outsider. I don't know. It looks like when you have a musician try to write their magnum opus, and then self-market it, it feels the same as like an actor being like, "This is my magnum opus," because he's playing someone with a mental disability. I'm like, that's a thin line of yikes.
He already did something like that though. He did that movie with Robert De Niro, where he was acting like he was like the whole thing of the movie is De Niro's like a master thief. And
that's this movie. Does he do it again?
I don't know. I can't remember the movie. But De Niro's a master thief. Even Marlon Brando's in it. And
Brando's in this one.
Basically, he's acting like he's got some kind of a disability of some sort. And basically, obviously he doesn't. So he's just acting like it, so he can get into this place where he can steal this stuff. Like half the movie, he's acting like he has a disability.
This one,
I don't think I've seen anything.
Motherless Brooklyn was coming out, and I think
wasn't that Bruce Willis in it?
This one, yes, Bruce Willis. Okay, that's who I.
That did look pretty good.
But Bruce Willis is like another
he's in
some sort of crime boss or something.
Yeah, he gets like I don't know.
And William Dafoe
disappears or something.
And Alec Baldwin.
Ooh.
But yeah, so Edward Norton, at least from the the trailers looks like he has some sort of like stuttering or mental disability or whatever. And
I did see that.
Yeah, we all seen the trailers. Like they're pushing it hard. Like, but I guess that's his like passion project. He like wrote for himself or whatever. It's like, oh man, this better be good, you know? Because like because if it's not, then you kind of see inside a person's head. Like it's like when Stallone writes his own dialogue. You know, like we all saw Rambo and we're like, I know what lines you wrote.
Yeah,
you know, why me? Why not me? Okay.
I wonder, like, I wish that this thing that, you know, Edward Norton reflecting on the Incredible Hulk, like, I wish they talked about him being, like, even remotely, like, have a conversation around the Disney Plus thing and, like, being, like, trying to get involved with any of that, or if Edward Norton would ever do the Incredible Hulk again. Like, they didn't talk about anything.
They didn't talk about any of that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They talked about like there was at one point in time.
It's like an anti-headline.
Not Hoist Gracie, but like his brother or something is in the movie. So like they talked about that.
Great.
Exactly. Like yay. That's all. I'm sitting there listening to it. But
and I guess last but not least, Eternals. Marvel's The Eternals reportedly evacuated after unexploded bomb discovered.
An unexploded bomb, right?
Yeah, an unexploded bomb.
It's like a Nazi-era bomb they found.
They're in Canary Island, freaking filming, and they find where they were filming was a Nazi, like an old occupied, or back in the day occupied Nazi base that had an active bomb that they had to quickly move everyone out and get some people in there to remove the bomb.
It just reminds me of, have you seen Hot Fuzz? It's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And they had that old crazy guy that you can't understand that Nick Frost had to like translate for. And they're like, oh, all we got is the shed. And then they walk into the shed and there's all these guns and like this big mine. And he's like, except this one. He knocks it. He's like, oh. You know? Yeah. Everybody's like, what?
Oh. What was the Disney movie? The, it had Angela Lansbury in it. And is it Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
No, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
It's Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like the guy who I think even was the dad in Mary Poppins is in that movie, and he's like kind of like a shyster, kind of like magician guy. It. But he lives at some house, and the only reason he lives there because it's during like World War II or whatever is because there was a bomb in the backyard and it didn't explode.
Yeah.
And he's like, this thing's my best friend. So he can live there at this mansion.
That reminds me, I gotta watch that movie again because it's one of like 12 DVDs I still have. When we moved, I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to find this again. I love that movie as a kid.
It's so funny because she looks like she aged really, really quick and then stayed the same age forever.
Kind of like, like Betty White or something. You know, it's like she was really young, but then like. She aged to a certain point, and she's almost 100 now, but she looks the same as she did 30 years ago.
My grandparents will never, ever listen to this, but, like, they were that way.
Oh, wow.
Like, looking at my grandparents, like, they just look like they've grayed a little bit more. Like, my eyes from seeing them as, like, a child is the same way as, like, I look at them now.
Oh, wow.
And they're, like, 86, I think.
You know what's wild? I know we mentioned this before, but, like, I never thought Dolly Parton really aged. I mean, a little bit, but not in relation to the amount of time there's been. So she released an EDM song with Black Atlantis or whatever. If you're a Dolly fan, like a hardcore Nashville Dolly fan, maybe not for you. But I think it's cool because you could tell, like, she's just like, we're going to go with it, baby. You know, it's like it's music, you know? But it's also like a cover of Have a Little Faith in Me.
Oh, okay.
She's a bus driver in that video, and it's so fun because she is like the cool grandma. Because like the premise of the video is she's driving a tour bus, and she's the cross between a tour bus driver and a stripper, you know, like a hooker, like because you know that's what her whole thing was. She wanted to look like an old school,
like,
she
wanted to look like a prostitute,
and so she has that thing going on, like her boobs are still like pushed up, and she has the tiny little hat on top of the big hair and stuff. And then the bus breaks down, and everybody's like, oh, and she looks back, and she's like, come on, guys, have a little faith in me. And then everyone on the bus are professional dancers, and they start breaking out and dance and stuff. And then she starts singing stuff, and I'm like, "You're a cool grandma." But then you see her in that video. I'm like, that's the first time I saw her. I'm like, "You're a grandma." Like she doesn't look bad, or she doesn't look super old.
Oh man,
but, like,
she looks pretty dang old.
But she looks like her age.
Watch 9 to 5, and then watch that.
Dude, I know this is not a geek thing. I'm kind of disappointed that the 9 to 5 sequel got nixed.
Oh, I didn't know there was going to be a sequel.
There was like talks, you know, because now it's
with
like
originals. Like they're going to have
Lily Tomlin and
holy crap,
Kate, Keaton,
Jane. Oh, is it?
Yeah, Diane Keaton, right?
Was Jane Fonda in that?
Maybe it's Jane Fonda.
I don't know.
I get those two mixed up sometimes.
I just remember because Jane Fonda got arrested.
I think it is Jane Fonda.
Because Jane Fonda got arrested like 4 weeks in a row in the protests and stuff. And so did another legendary actor. Anyway, but with them and Dolly Parton, because like now is like more relevant than ever. Yeah. That whole thing, like, and so like, normally I don't like those weird follow-up sequels, but like how weirdly progressive, like forward thinking was that original movie, like to have like these 3 independent women and had to be greenlit by like a major release, kind of thing. It
was funny though. Like the movie was honestly really funny.
It's funny, but just the whole premise of like that, I don't know. I guess that's a classic timeless like thing is like people hate their 9-to-5s, like, and women are always mistreated across the street.
If any of the stuff that happened in that movie happened today, you'd be like murdered.
But the thing is, like, like what they did to the guy,
what they did to her, or what they did to the girls.
Well, see, I think it still kind of does under the,
I'm sure some stuff flies under the radar, but like, man, that's.
Yikes.
90% of stuff nowadays, there's like so many meetings and whatnot.
But that's why I think that it's more timely than ever, because with all the stuff being called out now, like that would be a really interesting thing to see those women now dealing with the fallout of stuff finally being called out in the public.
Right.
Is like the next progression of like what that movie they had to take vigilantism into their own hands.
Yeah.
Like what would happen if they had the side of everyone behind him,
just killed the man,
or no, like they take him down in like the Harvey Weinstein.
They take over the city.
Well, that's what they did. They thought that they accidentally killed him.
So it reminds me of a few movies, like the Hustler. Not really, but that new movie where the girls just like start running their shit, and then what was the Hell's Kitchen was the other one or whatever with the women. The Kitchen. Some cool movies.
Yeah. Oh, and we forgot to mention this, but this is a brief point. The 3 of us want to see the Terminator Dark
Fate.
But supposedly all the Friends reviews and critical reviews I saw say it was awful, and then the numbers came back and they said it's set to lose $120 million and has put the franchise on pause.
Yikes.
So this might be extreme and over dramatic, but they said one of the at least far-reaching extreme possibilities is this is where Terminator ends.
Did Terminator terminate itself?
We'll see. I don't know.
We talked about it last time, or maybe it was the time before that, where it was just kind of like there's so many different continuities to it. They're like, we're just basically redoing the third movie over and over and over again. So it's kind of. They just had one a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Salvation.
No, we talked about this a few times ago. I think it wasn't a couple years ago, but it was like fairly recent, within the last 10 years.
It was Genesis, right?
Or Genesis.
Genesis was only like a couple years ago.
Was it? I thought we looked it up last time, and it was farther off than we thought it was.
I think it was
because it's 2019, so maybe 2015.
2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So 4 years ago. Because I remember seeing that out there. That one was okay. That's the thing, though, is like Terminator is one of those series that like you expect to just be blown away. You see it, and if it doesn't blow you away or even like come close to it, then it fails, even if it could be an all right movie.
Going into it, I haven't seen it yet. They look too nice. Like all the people are like, oh, we're fighting the evil robots, and we're all dressed up very nicely, and our haircuts are very nicely. Like those first 2 movies, they're on the run and they are gritty. And she's in like a friggin' wife beater or whatever. What do they call those shirts? The shirts they call
A-frame
shirts. Yeah. Sorry, wife beaters. She's in one of those things, and like she's like grimy and dirty from like running from this robot forever, and it's like. You can tell she's at her wit's end from this stuff, so it's like super real.
Yeah.
But like when you get up to this, I even feel the last 3 or 4 of those movies have been that way. They're like, oh man, it's kind of Matrixy, like the leather jackets and the pump shotguns.
I am totally supportive of bringing back the 80s, 90s like action movie aesthetic, where you can tell they keep spraying them with water between takes.
Yeah.
And they have like the singes and burns and stuff. But yeah. Oh, also another criticism I saw of them is that. The last several Terminator movies have lost the horror aesthetic.
Yeah,
and they're like inherently it should be horrific because like you're being chased down by robots and stuff.
Could just slice and dice you. Yeah, the second one was kind of like a horror movie. So
yeah, you don't want it to be more drama than slasher.
Once again though, what's funny is the Terminator storyline in MK11, which apparently he has one, which is weird. Like we played the DLC the opening day, and then I've been playing through the game. He has a storyline in the game, and we haven't seen the new movie yet, but the story in the game seems more interesting than the movie, to be honest. Like, because
Mortal Kombat doing things right.
Well, it's just weird. It's a simple storyline. I mean, basically, it's just that he gets sent back to the wrong timeline.
Oh, okay.
And so now he's just kind of confused.
He's chilling.
Well, he's confused. He's terminating problematic things, which is everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff. And then there's a fatality where he sends people back to, like, he sends people to the future.
To the future.
Where all the T-800s roaming to shoot him up. And it's a horror thing. Like, it's crazy. So it's like, huh. Like, not that it should have been a Mortal Kombat movie, but, like, why not explore that? You know, like him being sent to the wrong timeline. And then that'd have been interesting, you know? Then you can kind of reset.
Maybe those two Game of Thrones cats, they can jump on that one.
Since they just quit that job.
You know, they're not doing Star Wars trilogy anymore, so.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah.
We got RKVC and their sweet new digs.
Yeah, hopefully by the time you hear about we're still talking with our merch people. We're working with CrowdMade now, who does merch for a lot of YouTubers. They're good friends of ours, and they did some new hoodies for us, and we approved a lot.
Very nice.
If you were a patron or on our Discord, you saw a little preview, but we haven't done the big announcement yet because we don't know exactly how much and how to order.
We'll do it. Figure all that out.
We do know that they will be more affordable than our previous hoodies, which were good, but not as cool as these.
Yeah.
So. And I am starting a new podcast called Starting a Record Label. It's just going to basically be me talking about starting my record label. It's going to be all the crazy crap that I have to go through, which already is stupid. So if you want to follow that, search it on anywhere. It's all over the place. The new first episodes probably should come out in about 2 weeks. So.
Please tell me that it's like one of the first episode's titles. This is stupid.
It's basically like starting a record label or not. Or maybe I was thinking about making it I had to ask my wife first.
That's hilarious.
That's good. Yeah,
that's actually I would listen to that. Yeah, like just from that's a hilarious like title.
That's the first episode is me just talking to Angie about it. Like, hey,
she's on the podcast in the opening.
Yeah, actually, awesome. I had recorded her talking. We talked about it at Starbucks for a while, and it's really noisy because we were outside.
Yeah,
but like still, she's like, wait a minute, what? You're recording this?
That's awesome.
Yeah, coming at you soon. And thanks for everybody for continuing to download. And if you get a chance, write a little review on wherever you are at, or a comment on YouTube if you watch there or listen. So
let us know how we're doing. If you like this or not. We're always kind of kicking around the idea, should we continue or whatnot. Let us know the love if you want us to stick around. All right.
See you next time on Yellow Spandex.